fire truck do you have to go by right now? I'm filming, can't you tell? So inconsiderate. Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on Born of Shadow by Sarah Benson. So Sarah Benson, the author of this novel, contacted me a few weeks back and asked me if I would like to receive a copy of her novel in exchange for an honest review, and I agreed, so she sent me a copy of her novel. So today I'm going to be doing a review of it for you guys. So this is going to be a non-spoiler review of the book, so if you haven't read the book, then you can stay tuned for the entire video. Before we get into the whole review, I'm just going to let you guys know how I'm going to structure this review. First, I'm going to start off with a brief summary of the whole novel, and then I'm going to go into my thoughts and feelings on first the writing, then the plot, and then the characters, and then just my overall rating of the whole book. So just as a disclaimer before we get into the review, I just want to make it clear that even though I was sent this book in exchange for a review, all opinions are 100% honest and 100% my own, not being sponsored or paid to say anything. Everything I say is 100% my own opinion. So just want to get that out of the way. All right. Now let's get into the review. So Born of Shadow is the first book in a series, and it follows our main character named Cammy, who is a 17-year-old teenager who lives in California with her mother, and she's half Egyptian, half white. Her mother is white, but her father is Egyptian. In the very beginning of the book, it is her 17th birthday, and she gets a letter in the mail and a package in the mail from her grandparents in Egypt, who ostracized her mom and her dad because her father married a white woman and that wasn't accepted in their culture. And she gets this package from them, and she gets a little scarab necklace and a ticket to go visit them in Egypt. So Cammy decides that she is going to go visit them in Egypt, and she flies over to Egypt, and when she arrives there, then things kind of start to pick up, and she realizes that nobody is going to be there to pick her up at the airport, and then soon discovers that her grandparents have actually gone missing. So that's really where the story kind of takes off from. Once she gets there, she meets some other characters, and they all kind of have to come together to solve this mystery of her missing grandparents. So you get two perspectives in this story. You actually get Cammy's perspective, where she's trying to solve this mystery of her missing grandparents, but then you also get another story from the perspective of a character named Zaina, who is on the cover of the book. And she is a teenager who lives in Egypt, and her perspective is kind of where all the magic and mythology manifests, and where you see most of that, and where you see it start to develop and grow. And I have to say that I really liked Zaina's storyline a lot, because I really like the magic and mythology that's present in this book, and so that was a lot of fun to read. So with the story, there are the two perspectives. There's Cammy's storyline, but there's also simultaneously Zaina's storyline. So I don't want to say too much more, because otherwise I'd be kind of spoiling some of the plot. But that's essentially what this story is about. There's a lot of Egyptian mythology in this story, which I really love because I love mythology. I would say that this book is very similar to Percy Jackson in the adventure story, the mythology that goes along with this. I think that it's very similar to Percy Jackson in that sense. So I think that if you enjoy Percy Jackson and you enjoy like adventure stories like that, then you'd probably enjoy this one as well. The story is, however, marketed as a YA novel, but for me it reads a bit more like middle grade, even though the main character is 17 and some of the other characters are actually older than that. I would say that it reads far more like middle grade than it does like young adults. So that's pretty much all I can say for the summary of this book without spoiling the rest of it. So now I'm gonna get into my thoughts and feelings on the writing. Overall, I thought the writing was really simple and easy to read and easy to get through. It wasn't anything poetic or super symbolic or anything, just very straightforward and very much to the point. At times, I felt like it could be somewhat repetitive, but I really did enjoy the descriptive aspects of the writing, because there are a lot of descriptions in this book of the scenes in Egypt and the cities, and I thought that was really cool, because it was kind of like getting to actually visualize all of it and visualize being there. And I also felt like her writing captured the atmosphere of the Egyptian culture and that feeling that she was trying to go for. I can't speak on the accuracy of it because I've never been to Egypt, I haven't experienced Egyptian culture, but it definitely felt like she had done her research on it and that she definitely knew something about it. So I will speak to that part of it. And personally, I think the fact that she had done her research had definitely come through in her descriptions and her writing of the novel. So now I'm going to get into the plot of the story. Overall, with the plot, I will say that it was kind of slow to start. It really doesn't pick up until about like 100 pages into the book. And I understand that because it is the first book in a series, so it's kind of trying to like set up and establish what the premise and the basis for the rest of the books in the series, but it is really slow in the beginning, and then the second half definitely does pick up. So I do understand why, because it is the first book in a series, but I will say in my opinion it was kind of slow and it was kind of lacking, at least for the first half. In the second half, however, it definitely does start to pick up, especially by the end, and you can definitely tell the direction that the series is going to go in, and I really enjoyed that because I know from the end of the book, because you are left with a cliffhanger, that there's going to be a lot more magic and a lot more mythology, which is what I really, really enjoyed about this book, because I love magic and I love mythology, and it was really great to read about Egyptian mythology because you don't see as much Egyptian mythology, I feel like, especially in YA novels, so it was really refreshing to see that. I really enjoyed reading about the Egyptian mythology, and again, her research was definitely evident in her explanations of all of the mythology. Again, I can't say how accurate it was because I am not an expert on this, but she definitely had a lot of mythology in here, and I really enjoyed those aspects of the book. Also, along with the plot, like I said before, I really enjoyed the dual perspective, the two different storylines that were going on simultaneously. And like I said again, Zaina's storyline was probably my favorite one because it had so much of the magic and mythology. So the dual perspective in this was probably my favorite aspect of the plot. I really liked that there were two storylines going on at the same time, and they finally kind of start to intersect at the very end of this book, and I'm excited to see where that goes in future books. Also, along with the plot in this story, I really, really enjoyed the mix of cultures that was present in this book, because you have a California native who is half white, half Egyptian, so again, POC representation, which is also great, who goes to Egypt and is thrown into this completely different culture that she knows nothing about, but is also part of her heritage. And then you have people who are actually from Egypt, and you see the distinction between their culture and Cammie's culture, and I just really enjoyed that mixing of it. And I also really enjoyed the representation, because I really, really appreciated the fact that our main character is a person of color. She is Egyptian. She's half white, half Egyptian, but she is Egyptian, and it was great to see that. And a lot of the characters in the book are Egyptian. And I'm very big on novels, especially YA novels, having representation, and especially in their female characters, and I really, really enjoyed that about this. So props to Sarah Benson for that, because I loved that about this book, and honestly, that is one of the aspects of the book that really kept me reading and really kept me hooked, because I really liked that. I liked the fact that it wasn't about another just white kid having all of these adventures, and of course, not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just we don't see the representation, and I thought that was really important and something that this book dealt with really, really well. So now I'm going to go into my discussion on the characters of this book. So overall, I liked pretty much all of the characters. There were a few of them where I just didn't really care all that much, but for the most part, I enjoyed most of them. I really liked Cammie, who, again, is the main character, because she's really headstrong, and she's also very skeptical of everyone. So on her plane to Egypt, Cammie meets a boy named Liam, and he's your stereotypical, attractive, white, British man. And he starts flirting with her. He's, I think, also about 17 or 18 years old, and he starts flirting with her, and clearly they have like a little romance, and I personally wasn't a big fan of the romance. I didn't care about the romance at all. But she was really skeptical of him throughout the entire book, at least for a majority of the book, because she didn't know if she could trust him, which I just thought was really realistic, because it was just very much not insta-love, and I think that's why I appreciated it so much. And it was just really refreshing to see that, to see a female character be skeptical of the attractive boy who's flirting with her, not because she's insecure in herself, but because she doesn't know who he is, and her grandparents are missing, and for all she knows, he could have something to do with it. So I just really, really liked that aspect of it, and I really liked how Cammie was very sure of herself, and it was just really, really nice to read. So then of course there's Liam, who is the attractive British boy who starts flirting with Cammy on the plane, and he was alright to me. I don't hate him by any means, but I don't particularly love him or anything. He was just kind of there to me, and like I said, I wasn't a really big fan of their romance. And then there's Yasmin, who is Cammy's cousin, and she's in her early 20s and she's at university, and I enjoyed her a lot too because she was another headstrong female who would not take no for an answer from anyone. I really liked these headstrong women of color who were taking the lead in this story, and that was just something really nice and, like I said again, refreshing to see in a YA novel. And then of course we have Zaina, who is probably my favorite character in the whole book just because she stands more on the evil side of things. I'll leave it at that, but she's very cool and again very independent, very much knows what she wants and how to get it, and she will get it, and she's just pretty awesome and I liked her a lot. And so overall, I really enjoyed most of the characters in this book. I liked their interactions with one another, and I liked how they came together to solve this mystery, and I'm excited to see how they solve this mystery because, again, like I said, you are left with a cliffhanger at the end of this book, so I don't know what happens. So overall, I rated this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I know that may seem like a low rating even though I was talking about how I enjoyed the book. And yeah, it seems like a low rating, but it's not that low, and it's only really because it is more of a middle grade book than it is like YA or adult, and I have a hard time rating middle grade higher than 4 stars. It's just difficult for me, in most cases at least, to rate a middle grade book to the same level that I would rate an adult book. I just hold them to different standards, I guess. So that's really the reasoning behind the 3.5 stars. So overall, I really did enjoy this story. I loved the representation. I really enjoyed some of the characters, and I thought that the mythology that was present in here was lots of fun to read, and I do think I will actually pick up the second book because I'd really like to know where the story goes, and I'm really, really frustrated because of the cliffhanger at the end of here, so I want to know what happens. But yeah, so overall, I did really like it, and I would recommend this. I would definitely recommend this if you like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter adventure types of stories. And if you enjoy mythology, then I definitely recommend this one because there's lots of mythology in here, and it will probably satisfy your mythology craving if that is something that you're looking for. So that is it, guys. That is my review of Born of Shadow by Sarah Benson. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any other middle grade adventure stories that you have read recently that are not like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter or any of the big popular ones, because I'd kind of actually like to check them out because I'm kind of in a middle grade mood. I'm currently reading the Series of Unfortunate Events books and loving those, and now I kind of want to read some more middle grade adventure stories. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Oh my god! I was like freaking out over Solitary Neighbor.
Oh my god! I'm so mad!
I'm so